The other thing.
Yeah, you're live.
Yeah.
Right, we are starting our meeting. We have a quorum. So, thank you all for being here today. This is a general meeting of the Waipuna Halswell-Hornby-Riccarton Community Board. Now, if you are sitting in the gallery, so thank you for attending. Board and Bob. Oh, we've got feedback. It's me.
Someone's watching.
It's interesting. It normally doesn't repeat,
Yeah.
does it?
So shall I continue?
This way, come on.
Nice.
Andrea.
You can see what's going to happen when we have A1 on these robots round.
Given
Technical issues.
I add it.
They'll be answering back.
Yes.
A bit like a naughty teenager.
Yes.
Because are you normally on this? Right now?
Right. So again, if you're sitting in the public gallery, thank you for attending. We welcome your interest in our discussions. And please note that the public gallery should remain quiet during the meeting. A reminder also to please turn off your cell phones or put them on silent mode. Same goes for the board members. Now, toilets are located in the corridor outside the meeting room. And in case of emergency, please exit via the door at the back of the room. And there are 2 staircases to exit the building. Please follow staff directions in the case of an emergency. And a reminder that the meeting is being live streamed and the recordings are available on the Community Board's YouTube channel. Now, what have we got here? Karakia. If we have the karakia. Karakia. Okay. Pakatakateho kita pamana, ya mana kini kita, ya mata kita, anatia tertuda, etio hehuka, tihai moriora. Now, an apology has been received from Sarah Brunton, and an apology for lateness has been received from Tyler Harrison Hunt, Councillor, and an apology for absence from Debbie Mora. And we have on Zoom Councillor Andre Moore of Halswell. And any other apologies? No? Check my phone. Oh, hang on, I've got a message. Gamal is trying to open the Zoom now. So is he on Zoom? Mm-hmm. So we will have board member Gamal Poda in Zoom as well. We're expecting him in Zoom at any time. So do we have a mover?
I'll move it.
Helen moves and Mark seconds. And yep, is that all those in favor, say aye?
Aye.
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 Against? No? Oh, carried. Right, declarations of interest. Any members wish to declare an interest in any item? I am declaring an interest on item 8. So Helen Broughton, Deputy Chair, will be chairing that item. And confirmation of previous minutes. So we're going to confirm both the open and public excluded minutes of the Waipuna Halswell-Hornby-Riccarton Community Board meeting held on Thursday, June 13th, be confirmed? Moved by Hank, seconded by Mark.
Yep.
Right. Thank you. And public forum, there are no public forum presentations arranged at this time. Deputations or, yep, all good. Deputations, if we can call, we have Mr. Howard Harvey and Bob, who please come forward. They will address the board in relation to the Stedman Road proposed no stopping restrictions report. That is in item 7 of the agenda. At the end of the table, please. Thank you. And you have 5 minutes?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. Howard and Bob, you have 10 minutes to speak to the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. We come representing the Kevin Hickman Retirement Village, which is in Stedman Road. You know where it is?
Sure do.
Yes, a growing village. What happened was that we had a meeting with the engineer, traffic, about some of our issues. And from that, there was a real body who wanted to make a submission about our concerns. And I have attached over here our submission and the residents of 40 signatures. So it's not just us. There's 40 people who are involved by signing, and there's another lot who have arrived since then. So I'll read out what we're suggesting. We, the residents of the Kevin Hickman Retirement Village, strongly support the proposal outlined by Andrew Hensley, traffic engineer, at a village residents meeting on the 28th of May, 2024. 2, 1, extend existing no stopping zones on Stedman Road in order to increase the visibility for drivers exiting and entering the village, and to increase visibility for pedestrians crossing the road. Secondly, to lower the speed limit in Stedman Road to further reduce the risk of accidents. Now, the background. The village will have over 400 residents, as well as staff living and working there. So it's no small community. There are 172 apartments being built, 59 townhouses, as well as 80 care beds.
Oh, it's just getting there.
So those who are living in apartments and the townhouses are mobile. So in other words, we've got to go in and out, either walk in and out or bus or whatever it may be. So although it's a retirement village, the great majority are car users or walk across the road for recreation. And I often catch a bus into town as well to visit and shop at Hornby or Avonhead. A community of this size is also visited frequently by family, service vehicles, taxis, couriers, trucks, shifting all kinds of household goods, as well as the regular waste disposal service. And that happens really from about 7 o'clock in the morning to about 7 p.m. at night or even later. From a recent traffic count, 2/3 of the vehicle movements are south. That's from Yolhurst Road, Stedman Road to Carman Road. Many use this road as a shortcut to Hornby to avoid the lights at the intersection with Yolhurst and Masham roads. Now, the hazards. The Stedman Road entrance is the only access to and from the village. You can't go from by the racecourse, so that's an essential thing. First of all, the challenges for vehicles entering and exiting the village from Stedman Road. Generally, traffic speed by locals is about 41 km per hour. But observations show that much higher speeds of over 50 km per hour is common for the many who use the road as a shortcut towards Hornby. and that would probably be the top 10%. Now, as an aside, I've lived just off Yildhurst Road, and I know that we want to go to Hornby. Oh, no, let's go along Stearman Road, and at speed, and particularly later in the afternoon or early in the morning in particular. The locals aren't too bad. Hey, entering. The entrance is quite narrow for two-way traffic. So for vehicles entering, there is a need to slow down to at least 15 km per hour. This is not helped when cars are parked near the entrance, as this hinders visibility. This means that sudden braking may be required by drivers entering the village. For drivers travelling at speed behind a vehicle entering the village, there's a danger of rear collisions. And I've had several cases where people have tooted, come on, why are you slowing up to go into this place? Exiting. Under the current situation, particularly if the car is small, it's very difficult to see vehicles travelling south. A driver needs to travel almost to the centre of the road. You come out of the driveway, almost to the centre of the road to obtain visibility of oncoming traffic. If a vehicle is approaching at 50 km per hour, there is little time to back or take evasive action. And a lot of us are slow with our reactions. Again, a dangerous situation which increases the risk of accidents. Then that's not only vehicles, but there's also challenges of residents wishing to cross the road. There is no safety island close to the exit. The main access for pedestrians wishing to cross west is to use the Ben Nevis Road. Pedestrians need to step well out onto the road to see if they can safely cross. If they cannot cross, many of the senior residents have slow reactions in attempting to step back. Again, a potentially dangerous situation. So to extend the no stopping zone and see a reduction in speed is necessary for pedestrian safety. Signage linked with a reduction in speed, 40 km per hour, there is a need to inform the public, especially those not familiar with the area, as to why there should be a reduction in speed. There is a precedent. Outside schools, there's often a sign says school zone. Why not retirement zone? Have a sign, retirement zone, or senior citizens. So that when people come down Yildhurst Road and turn left from a 60, that's a chest as well, that they see a sign, retirement zone or slow. And it maybe that's the way that you should recommend at the beginning rather than necessarily having 40 or 30, because I know that's under fire at present by the government. Speed does not equal efficiency. It equals accidents. Senior reactions are slower and it's stressful. And so I know there's been a lot of discussion in the paper about flexibility in setting speeds around schools. What about school for seniors? And not just at 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. or that time. So a special zone. I noticed Andrew also mentioned in his recommendations about the fact that there's been no accidents there for 5 years. But I want to point out to Andrew that, in fact, there was no village until 2 years ago. So this is all new. So you can't use what's happened 5 years ago as relevant for today. So that's really all I want to say at this stage. I think my colleague here, Robert's going to say something as well.
Thanks, Howard. My name's Robert Spiegel. I'm also a resident at the village, and I've come along just to support Howard and to offer my support for Andrew's recommendations. I'm in complete agreement with the points in Howard's submission, Howard Harvey's submission, and I support the proposals put forward by the council engineer, Andrew Hensley, for extensions to no stopping zones in order to improve visibility in the vicinity of the retirement village exit. I also agree with Howard Harvey's support for a lower speed limit, even though that's not really within the scope of the engineer's report. But also, I think the emphasis on signage is good to inform drivers that they should drive slowly because of the presence of a retirement village with elderly residents. I think even without a lower speed limit, the signage would be helpful. And my last point is goes on from what Howard was saying about the accidents. I know that Andrew's report says that there haven't been any accidents, crashes in the last 5 years, but I have experienced a near accident when I was exiting the village when a taxi was parked in the no stopping zone right next to the exit. And I really couldn't see anything. And I think I was very lucky to avoid a crash. So, I'm really supportive of extending the no stopping zones. And I just finally would like to say that considering the increasing number of staff and residents that we can expect, that I just have the feeling that it's only a matter of time before there is a crash, unless these measures can be taken to improve visibility and somehow persuade people to reduce their speeds. So anyway, thank you very much for the opportunity to present here. And thank you, Andrew, for your help.
All right, thank you so much for presenting to us. It was very enlightening for us. Before we go into questions, can I check? Gamal, can you hear me? Gamal, just check. Are you online?
Oh, no, it's on.
They're muted.
Yes, Gamal, if you can please just turn on your camera. That'll be great. Thank you, Gamal. Yeah, we'll need you to leave your camera on during the meeting. Thank you. So questions, anybody has questions? Mark and then Helen, thank you. And anybody on Zoom have questions? No? Okay, Mark, please.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming in and supporting Andrew's no stopping restrictions. I gather you'd be happy to work in an ongoing basis with Andrew and the team to monitor the ongoing speed and safety issue around the village.
Yes, yes.
And would you have any thoughts around further safety measures other than just speed restriction? Perhaps some road engineering that might help to slow people down?
Well, there is the issue, of course, of the crossing where it is. It's not actually close to the entrance. And so therefore consideration of directly opposite our entrance, say where Ben Nevis Road is, that's where a lot, I know I cross, I want to go to the bus and I go across the park. And that is where most people will go in and out. And where the restriction is, it's further up, it's sort of one end, but it's not a main entrance. And I do think that maybe should be considered.
Yeah, no, very good.
Yeah.
I'd be keen going forward for you to continue to work with us.
Yeah.
And see if we can make this even better for you. Thank you.
Andrew did say that further engineering like speed bumps, he wasn't really ready to recommend anything like that. And I think we just would be happy to go along with his expertise and his recommendations.
Thank you. It's good.
Right, thank you.
Yes. Are you comfortable with the recommendations? I think I've heard that, but just want to be sure.
Yes.
You're comfortable with Andrew's recommendations, good. And in terms of a sign, are you proposing that probably the village would put up that sign, would they?
Well,
Any retirement village?
Well, I think so, probably.
You probably, yeah.
I mean, there's a question of size and all that kind of thing, but
Yeah.
we don't see it actually on a fence, but actually where you've got your 60 out on by the footpath. Here's the footpath,
Yeah,
so that people can see it. It's not much point
I know.
having it beside on the fence, zooming by.
And on schools, they have it on, in fact, the pavement, don't they?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, that's how I would see it.
Okay. I wonder if we could get information on, or perhaps if Andrew comes to the table. Yeah,
Okay, now.
it's good. No, thank you.
Okay.
So would you want the speed restricted 24 hours a day? Is that what you're after? Is that what you're asking?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I live in a townhouse right on the edge there, and there's traffic going all the time.
Sure.
And some of us go out in the middle of the night and so forth. Yes, I think so. Rather than sort of this business of 9 o'clock to 3 and so forth like this, I think it would make sense so that people get the idea about this. And also, I think a lot of the speedsters tend to be early in the morning and late in the afternoon or late at night. So therefore, 24 hours, yes.
Do you get many trucks? I mean, I know you get trucks, service trucks going into the village.
Yes,
Do you get many trucks going
yes, we
using that
do.
as a shortcut?
Yes,
So
they
it's
come to
quite
the
a
lights,
village.
turn left. I mean, they're going to service Hornby more.
Yep, yeah.
Why go up to the traffic lights up a bit further and have to wait?
So
Mm.
maybe one of those no deliveries here or no trucks unless you're delivering.
Mm.
Signs might be useful.
Oh, yeah, anything like that I think would be good.
Help. Because those big trucks take a bit of stopping, don't
Mhm. Yeah.
they? Okay.
Right. Any other questions? Anybody else have any questions? No? In that case, thank you very much. Yeah, you can go back to your seats now and
Right, I've got,
You probably need a copy of.
yes, I've got a copy here for you.
Thank you, of the people who
With
signed.
a list of the people who signed it.
Okay, thank you.
Who are we here?
Very good.
Here we are.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. There we are.
Thank you.
And that as well, I think,
Yep.
to add weight to it.
Thank you.
Right.
All right.
That's good.
well, thank you very much.
Good.
Right,
Thank you.
okay, thanks.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Right. So, next on the item, presentation of petitions, we do not have any. So we move on to staff reports. Stedman Road proposed, no stopping.
We haven't done the conference.
We have,
Oh, so was he?
yes, that was Mark and Hank,
Hank
right?
and Mark,
Hank
yeah.
and
Oh,
Mark,
Hank and Mark. Oh, sorry,
Yes.
I've written that beside declarations of interest. My mistake, sorry.
right,
And carried.
and carried, yeah. Yeah, so yes, Stedman Road proposed no stopping restrictions. Can we have, Andrew, please? Cool.
Thank you. Just like to say, it's been great working with both the residents and management of the employment village. To actually really get to the bottom of what the concerns are and to improve it. And, I think this also follows on from some of the other work we've been doing in recent times around retirement villages, because it certainly is an area where I'm noticing a lot more issues being raised. So a real growth issue and quite specific and distinctive needs compared to perhaps some other areas. I'm happy to look at the warning signage that was raised and also continue working on this. I think it's also fair to say that this is probably the first stage. The site is under some pretty heavy construction at the moment. There's a lot of issues that are, there's a lot of vehicles being parked on the road that's to do with workers on the site, construction workers. So the site hasn't quite settled down as to what it will permanently be. There's some speculation that many of those car parking spaces will be taken up by workers at the village, which also sounds plausible, but until such time as it settles out, I don't think we're really in a position to make too many more recommendations. Yeah, the no stopping is for the towards the Rosella Street end is for the pedestrian crossing point that was installed as part of the development. I'm unsure why it didn't have no stopping at the time, but given the proximity of the cars that are parking to it, it seems sensible to include it in the same report. Yeah, happy to take any questions if there's any.
Questions, Mark and then Helen? Okay.
Thank you. Nice to see the great work we've done with the residents in the village. And thank you for coming back with these proposals for the no stopping. And fully understand your no stopping around that pedestrian point. That's great. Interested to hear what potential there could be going forward once this all settles down around further, I guess, traffic calming to make that frontage safer for the retirement village.
I think certainly looking, yeah, what I think one thing we'll be looking at what's the level of on-street parking we end up with, because at the moment, although it may not seem like it, that on-street parking will be having an effect on some of those speeds, especially towards the southern end of the site, just because of how much narrower it is. I think certainly we can look at signage, continuing monitoring of the speed, and if those speeds are inappropriate, and if we are unable to set lower speed limits for whatever reason, it potentially could be put forward for traffic calming, but would need to be assessed against other sites. One of the challenges is the volume of traffic, so about 3,500 vehicles, and that's probably one of the downsides potentially to any raised treatments in this sort of area, is there may be some noise and those sort of issues. But I actually think one of the biggest problems is actually just that volume of traffic for the site, probably more so than the actual speed, because with that comes quite a reduction in the gaps that are there for cars and pedestrians to enter and exit. But yeah, I'd be hesitant to make too many recommendations just yet until we get to the end of the construction phase. But it's certainly, I don't consider this the end of the project.
No, interesting. Because one of the thoughts that crosses my mind is the proximity of Ben Nevis Drive and their main exit.
Yep.
Whether there's any potential down the track, should it become possible, the idea of maybe some sort of roundabouting or even some poached egg roundabout. And then the other thought that hit my head too is, having seen Greening the East recently, where they're putting in street trees.
Yep.
Whether there's a possible street to look at doing some street trees and to sort of break up the environment somewhat, to make it more friction, make people want to slow down. Just be keen to see how you go going forward.
All right, thanks. Before we go to Helen, Gamal, can I please, yeah, we need to see you actually in the camera. If you can remove the obstruction, please. Gamal, because it comes on and off different times. Hello, Gamal.
Yeah, thank you, Maria. I'm just trying to, just because there's something sticky on here, I'm just trying to clean that one. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Okay, thank you. Cool. Thanks. Okay, Helen.
Yes, what sort of road is it? Is it a collector or arterial route? Perhaps
They're both classed as local roads.
local, okay.
Rosella.
Okay, so in terms of getting a sign, would say retirement village, would that be the owner's responsibility or our responsibility?
We council and road control authorities have the ability to install warning signs for these situations. Not all that common. I have installed some in Nakaroa, for instance. It was a pedestrian warning sign with the aged supplementary, which is so similar to what you'd see outside of school.
Yeah.
Except it's a pedestrian symbol with the age supplementary, and that's to warn road users of a possible risk.
Yes, so we'd fund it, would we?
Yes, if it was considered warranted.
Yeah. So how can we get that looked at then?
I can.
You can look at that. Okay.
Sure, yeah.
Thank you, Helen. We have Tyler and then Hank.
Cool. Kia ora tātou. Apologies for my lateness. I had another council engagement I had to zoom off to, but I missed the deputation, unfortunately, most of it. I just wanted to see what the sort of bullet point it as to what was said, just so that I can be informed.
Support.
Deputy.
We heard from two residents of the Kevin Hickman Retirement Village who have come along in support of the proposal.
Excuse me, thanks.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Thank you.
And also have raised concerns and suggestions about the vehicle operating speeds and the current status of, I guess, the speed limit review process would be a fair summary.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much.
I was just briefly supporting that. I think I had the
I have it here.
three.
Thanks.
Right. And then, oh, good.
Yeah, no, I've read the papers and.
Okay, okay.
Yep. Two of the problems I see is the speed and the fact that it is used as a shortcut to miss the Nicola stoplights. I use it regularly. So I'm totally guilty. I'll try and avoid it next time, but it just becomes automatic.
Give you away, doesn't it?
And also for the trucks, it's the same. It's a much easier corner to take than the stoplight one. And so to keep the trucks out of there, notice it's only half ply work. And the way to stop it, I think, would be to put a roundabout in the middle there to stop the trucks, because that makes it hard for the Arctics and the bigger trucks to go through. If we could do that at some stage, we'd cut a lot of traffic out, I think. A lot of unnecessary traffic. Yeah, because there is actually no reason why I don't go around the stoplight, apart from the fact that it might be 10 seconds shorter. Really, that's no point.
You're done?
Yeah, done.
Right.
I can keep it if you want.
Oh, sure. Thanks.
All right, so Tyler, you have a question?
Yeah, this is great. Andrew, I think you know with council and the beast that is, it's very difficult to get big things across the line. Would you be able to provide us with some low cost options that will be able to be addressed quite quickly in support of this?
Yeah, there is that.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that, to investigate some low cost options. And I guess the other factor too is the situation is likely to change when the construction is completed. I guess that's the unknown, and that probably lends itself more to lower cost, potentially temporary or more short-term options or staged options, rather than recommending something more permanent at this stage.
Cool. So just for the our residents, we bumped up the minor safety improvements budget, which I'm hoping would be able to line up nicely with that, Andrew, and let me know if it doesn't.
Okay.
But what we did is we tried to implement safety options which would be able to be addressed immediately, instead of having to go through years and years of waiting for bigger stuff, which is difficult in council. So
yeah,
that's all right, Andrew. Take it away.
Yep.
Are there any questions?
Is that the one?
Helen?
It seems to me a busy road for in fact, a local road. Is that your sense that it's really busy, or?
There are other local roads that can carry similar volumes. I was surprised at how high it was, and for me, that's when I was thinking also about those. It's not surprising that there were difficulties given the width of the road and the volumes that people were having.
It's probably been local at one stage when it was quiet and it's got busier. It seems to me really busy.
We're also aware of some issues previously being raised in Rosella Street about people cutting through and rat running. So that is an issue that's come up before. It's a little more difficult at the moment with the parking on Rosella. It's quite a lot tighter to go through there at the moment. But I guess this is part of a broader issue that's related to those other main roads and the signals and people choosing whatever reason to go other ways. But yeah, it is relatively high.
Okay.
Thank you, Helen. Any other questions? Anybody from Zoom have any questions? No?
Happy to move.
Thank you, Andrew. And so
Second.
we've got a mover, Mark, seconded by Helen. Any debate necessary? Okay, Mark?
Yep, I just want to really thank Andrew and the team for their work with the residents. I think it's been magnificent to see you engaging there with the residents of the village and come up with solutions and then bring them to us. I think that's really great. And thank you to the engagement staff as well for what you've done. It makes the life so much easier for the elected members when we can, know that everything's been, well done in the background and the residents are happy. And we can have a sensible solution to help make the environment safer. And that it'll be really interesting to see how it goes as the retirement village completes and the extra volume of people and vehicles kind of lands to where it will normalise. I'm really keen to see Andrew continue to work on this through time. Keep an eye on what happens on Stedman Road there, because we see the government tinkering around with the speed rules right now, and they're talking about outside schools a lot and how we should make that a 30k area for our most vulnerable children. But there's also the other end of the spectrum where we've got vulnerable elderly as well, who we want to try and keep active as long as we can. And I think the idea of trying to create a safe environment around retirement villages like this, I think is crucial. And I'm going to be really interested to see how we can sort of work on this through time and get to a point where there can be a really good, safe environment here for the residents of the retirement village and the locals in the area as well, to have a safe area to commune in and exercise in and transport through. So thank you for your work, Andrew and team, and thank you to the residents for raising this and looking forward to hopefully getting this passed and help make your environment safer.
Right. Thank you, Mark. Anybody else want to say anything? Right. So the officer has presented to us 8 recommendations. I will move that as a block. So I will now put the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? I declare the motion carried.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah,
So-
easy one.
Right. So now we're on item number 8 on Packard Crescent, where I have declared an interest. And so our deputy chair, Helen Broughton,
Okay.
will chair this
Thank you.
item.
Thank you. Item 8, I'm just getting there. It's Newbridge Place.
Oh, no,
And,
Packard Crescent.
Back out, Chris.
sorry, I'm just
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you, gentlemen.
8, sorry. Sorry about this. Packard, and that's 9, sorry, I'm just. So we've, Andrew, you at the table on this one? 2? It's,
Packard Crescent.
yes, if
And, Olivia Taylor.
yes, if you'd like to come up. Mobility parking and 120 parking restrictions amendment. If I could just say, this is in Riccarton. It's, sorry,
Packard Crescent is in Halswell. Number 8,
8.
page 23.
Yes,
Page 23?
it's 8, Newbridge Place.
No.
Packard Crescent,
Item 8.
Oh,
Packard.
number 7, sorry.
8.
8.
No, I've got 8 as the Newbridge Place.
You're looking at the draft agenda.
Sorry?
Looking at the draft agenda, but if you just.
Oh, I see.
It's on the screen,
Yeah, it's
Helen.
on the
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So which number is it?
Right.
On the screen.
Oh, okay. Packard Crescent proposed no stopping restrictions. So, Andrew, if you'd like to take us through that, and then there's the recommendations. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Helen. I'm happy to do this. And Olivia Taylor from the engagement team's here too. Olivia helped with the engagement with the wider community here, because this site in Knight Street, Packard Crescent, adjoins quite a reasonable sized health and service complex where there's many businesses. And from what I've seen, the majority of the issues are most probably related to workers parking there. Quite different in the evening. There is some parking in the evening I've seen, but majority of it is during the day. It's people, I guess, understandably wishing to park as close as they can to work. But what they've ended up doing is parking on the inside of the curve and also in quite close proximity to those pedestrian crossing points, which went through, you see on the aerial photo, the paths and things. So the idea of this plan is whilst not wanting to take out too much parking, to actually allow people to see through that bend, and also for pedestrians to be able to see. There's more than likely be other opportunities for people to park on the street, but people will most likely have to walk further if they are workers. So we visited quite a few of those businesses, and I think Olivia will be able to update, but I think we only heard from, there's very few we heard from, really. And no one's...
Yeah, so we heard from 3 residents. They were all in support, and one of them was directly impacted.
Thank you. So any questions? No? Is there anyone who wants to move Andrew and his offside as resolution? Could I move it?
Andrew?
Mark, a seconder? Henk? Anyone who wants to discuss this, debate it?
No.
Okay. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Back to our chairperson, Marie.
Right, so now we move on to item number 9 for Shands Road cycle lanes, which is back to Andrew. This is a part A, part C and part A report.
The whole meeting revolves around you, you know.
It's interesting when people come on because they want community connection. Traffic. It just always happens in Riccarton, the whole area, yeah.
This was an opportunity that arose. You'll probably remember a while back we heard from Steve Guy, from the maintenance manager, about when we're resealing roads. And I think one of the, if I recall correctly, some of the discussions from the board were around looking at what opportunities could be done to do other work at the same time to save money and reduce disruption, things like that. So in traffic operations, we were made aware of the reseal of Shands Road. For some reason, Shands Road didn't previously have fully connected cycle facilities on road. We were unable to really find out why that was. I think it just perhaps evolved over time. So we met with Councillor Peters when we were aware of the work, and I guess given the time frame and that there was no parking removed, and from what we could see, no detrimental effect to other road users, we progressed the opportunity to mark the cycle lanes at the same time, with the intention of bringing a report to the board and Part A to council to formalise a later date. The only possible work that could still be done is, and this is when budget's available, will be to look at providing some additional cycle symbols and logos and potentially some more green markings. But from what we've managed to achieve is a reasonable level of service and improvement from what was there, and done at the same time as the work. So we'll continue to look for these opportunities when they come up. But normally we would consult first and go through that process. But when we weighed it up, we felt it was appropriate.
Right. Thank you. Any questions? No questions?
Are you happy with it, Mark?
I'm very happy with
All
it.
right. And somebody wants to move this? Mark, seconded. Hank?
It even makes sense.
Right. And is debate?
Well done.
You want to say something, Mark?
Yeah, I really want to commend not just Andrew, but the whole team there in traffic operations and maintenance by identifying opportunity when this resealing was brought forward to think outside the square and try and bring very low cost, easy cycle infrastructure into this location without impacting any of the existing parking that's available. This is a win-win for everybody, I think, and I really commend the team on that, and I'd be really keen to see this opportunities like this developed around the city as we do the maintenance program with resealing, to take as many opportunities as we can to be smart in what we do. And so thank you very, very much for what you've done in this, and the fact that we've heard nothing from community regarding any negatives. I think it's a win, and well done to everybody. Keep up the good work.
Right. Yeah. All right, thank you, Andrew. So I will now put it to motion. There are 5 recommendations and we will take it as a block again. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? I declare the motion carried.
Easy.
Thank you. And moving on to item number 10. Proposed road names for 301R Wigram Road.
Happy to move.
Sorry?
Andre's.
Andre's moving.
Oh,
Just a second.
okay.
Awesome.
And all those in favor say aye.
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 Against?
Very good names.
All right. Oh, I declare the motion carried. Right. And off to item number 11, Newbridge Place, mobility parking and 120 parking restrictions amendment. Do we have staff on this one? No?
It's Andrew.
Oh, it's Andrew. Are there any questions?
Happy to move up to Helen's questions.
Yeah.
Andrew, I'll just, if I make a comment, if I could, this is a street off Maidstone Road. It used to be suburban housing for families a long time ago. It's largely students at present. So I don't see any problem with this. A lot of students park their cars on site too. So you'll have a drive and perhaps a garden where there's car parking as well. So I just think it's reasonable.
It's quite an unusual situation to have mobility parking marked directly outside, say, a residential property. Usually it's outside a shop or perhaps a business that is more related to that, those things. We felt, given the existing use rights, it was fair and reasonable to retain one of those spaces on street. If that request had come in by itself for a mobility parking space outside a residential property, it would be more than likely we would decline it. But in this case, we feel that it's in the right spirit to at least remain one remaining space for that property, noting that there are opportunities up the driveway and things like that.
Yes.
We also had pressure. There was some complaints about from the other residents about wanting to remove all of these spaces. It's difficult to keep everyone happy on this one.
Happy compromise.
I think it's reasonable.
Any other questions? No? Thank you, Andrew, again.
2 minutes.
Yeah. Do I have a mover?
I'll move.
Tyler move it and Helen seconded. Any debate if necessary? Do you want to say anything? No.
I'll make a quick
Mark,
comment.
okay.
Thank you again.
Yeah.
The team have really outshined themselves today, so you're doing good work. I can fully understand the reason for taking away these mobility parks, and the fact that Laura Ferguson Trust is no longer there kind of makes it obvious. So thank you for I guess identifying this and putting it right. And good to see that one was able to be kept for the resident who lives adjacent to where the Laura Ferguson was. So good work to compromise there and keep everybody happy. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. There are 5 recommendations again, and we will move it as a block. And I will now put the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? I declare the motion carried. Thank you. And we move on to item number 12, the Waipuna Halswell-Hornby-Riccarton Community Board Area Report for July 2024. Bailey, sorry.
Tēnā tātou katoa. I'll take the report as read. If there are any questions, then myself or Miss Faye.
Oh, right, hang on. I saw Mark first, and then Helen, Tyler, Hank. Anybody on Zoom? No questions? All right, Mark, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for the report, Bailey. The one question I've got, and I've circulated some email traffic around this already, is around the playground renewals that are in here for
Yep.
Rosella and Oakhampton. And there seems to be a change of process whereby previously we would have had the proposal go out for consultation response, and then redrafted final plan. It now seems that the final plan is no longer brought to the board for approval.
Do you want to talk to that, Faye?
Yes, I'm happy to talk to that. So that's what it seems. So we've had word that there's been a change of process, but I'm looking into that change of process and whether it's been instituted or whether it's hoped for and how far it goes and all of that. So at the moment, we've got advice that they've been through consultation, that they propose doing this, but it's not imminent, and we are looking at whether it does need to come back to the board. If it does need to come back to the board, it will come back to the board. So,
Yeah, 'cause I'd be quite worried if that process and policy has changed without knowledge of the elected members.
So the advice came through last year, and it was kind of, we're looking to do this kind of thing for, it wasn't specifically stated, but my impression at the time was maybe there was a shortcut other than a full report to the board in a situation, for example, a slide was being replaced by another slide. But this is beyond that.
Yes.
So that we're looking into,
Because
we're not quite sure what's
the
happening.
big concern that I'd have is, you recall it last year, we had the Hallswell place-based renewal debate and changes that need to be made because of it. And if we short circuit this process, then we potentially won't get this sort of safety net catch on the process.
So there has, so this process went out to all community boards, and I have spoken also to the board advisors, so there's equal concern there. So we're all watching the space, but we will get to the bottom of it and come back to you.
Look forward to your response. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Helen?
Yes, just a query. I noticed you, and it's probably my not being able to access it very well. You've provided an update on the Riccarton craft program. Have you got a whole list of projects which we had about 2 years ago? Because I did ask for that.
Yeah, we did have a list of projects that sort of were prioritised by the two boards. They met together and came
That's
up with
right,
this
yes.
program. Now,
Can someone find that for us?
Yes,
Yes.
but staff are working through that.
I'd rather
and
have
they
it-
may not all be able to be funded.
No,
as
but I'd
well.
quite like to have it as a base list.
Yep.
Yes, so it goes to each board member.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it gives us some sense of what could go in potentially.
Mhm.
What
And if
other
you need to
projects?
make swaps,
Yes.
and that's all. Yeah, I can do that.
Thank you.
Right. Thanks, Helen. Tyler and then Hank.
Just I saw the timeline. I saw the timeline of the Summer with Your Neighbours. It's listed as 13th of July to August 11th. We've got a review coming up, don't we?
Yeah, so 25th of July, the board project will come for you guys to decide what you want to do for the next year. So the advertising, it always has this overlap. So just today, Noella put out that it's open 11th of July, and that's it.
Got you. Got you.
Open it, and then we will update the comms
Cool.
and the marketing after the 25th of July.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet. That's it.
Thanks, Tyler. Hank?
Right, Marcus covered what I was going to say. I was going to
Okay.
query the process.
Anybody else has? Okay, Mark?
Yeah, just another point around the Hallswell Junction Road pedestrian safety improvements that's mentioned in the report there. Is this the sort of definitive and final feedback on that situation, or is there further potential development in the wind around making it safer crossing point from Copper Ridge to access basically the school straight?
Speed with
I
that.
think in there it says that staff will review it. So once that they've implemented this, they'll review.
I can help with that.
Okay,
So,
Andre
and
can-
No, that's not final, and the decision,
Good.
including the long-term plan, Lynette has informed overrides it, so something additional will be, at the very least.
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you, Andre.
Thank you, Andre. Thank you, Mark. Any other questions?
I've got a comment on Bradshaw Terrace. I've been told by residents that the change of trees is actually an enhancement.
Oh.
So that's good.
Good,
Happy people's good.
Happy.
win-win. All right, no more questions. Do I have a mover? Tyler, and seconded by Mark. Any debate necessary? No? I will now put it to motion. All those in favor say aye. Those against? I declare the motion carried. And so now we will go to elected members information exchange. Anybody wants to start off? We've got Helen and then Andre. Okay, Helen
Okay.
and Mark. Okay.
Okay, thank you. There's two lots of thinking at present around intensification. We've got plan change 14, and the panel I've checked have to give it back to council by about the 25th of July. So on the 25th of July, it comes to council, and then council, or it comes to everybody, I presume, who's submitted. And then council in early August will have a meeting to say whether they accept it or reject it or accept in part. I know that Tauranga has, the commissioners have accepted, but had two items that they didn't accept from the IHP. So I guess that's a possibility as well. So I'll be organising a meeting with Riccarton residents groups. Hornby, I presume, Mark? Yes. And Andre, you wanting Halswell people to come in, or just the ones who are most concerned? Okay, hasn't picked that up. I'll send in. So there's not much time, and I think I have no idea where the panel is actually heading. I don't think so. It's going to be the only avenue that I see that people can have if they aren't happy is to make a submission to council in some form. That's the only way I can see at present. And on top of that, you've got Minister Bishop seemingly coming up with proposals that he wants to change, but I don't think, can I ask Marie in her professional capacity, I presume that won't influence the hearings panel. So the hearings panel comes up with what it recommends, and what Minister Bishop is saying is still in the future. Am I right, or?
I can't comment on that.
You can't, okay, I can check with the resource management lawyer. I'll check informally. Yeah, so it sounds like, it sounds more complex than it was, basically. But I'll check too whether the hearings panel is influenced by Minister Bishop's statements, but they seem to me at present just statements. I've got something from John Higgins I'll send around everybody. And I think councillors have been briefed, have you, on this? It does seem as though what John Higgins is saying, they are statements rather than anything specific. So it's messy, and I guess we just focus on Plan Change 14 and wait for the hearings panel to come up with recommendations.
This is next.
Because, I mean, the Minister Bishop is talking about changing qualifying matters, which I find fairly concerning. But it may just be what he's proposing, and it will come in a year's time. I would think that's the process. He would have to move legislation in the House, in my view. So, yeah, so it's I'll organise a meeting with Hornby and Riccarton residents groups who have submitted, the ones who have submitted. And all of them have, I think there's 6, 5 from Riccarton and 1 from the Greater Hornby Residents Association. But there's not much time before the 4th, from the 25th of July to the 4th of August, there's not much time. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Helen. Up next was Andre, but it
Oh.
seems to have dropped off.
He told me he dropped out, but he
Yeah.
wanted me to give a message.
Sorry?
He told me he dropped out, lost signal, but he wanted me to give a message.
Oh, okay.
He said, can you add that there's a Horsell Community Patrol car getting kitted out as we speak,
Awesome.
and to keep an eye out for an invite to a launch next month.
Cool.
And a note that it's very exciting and it's a bad day for troublemakers.
He would have been a troublemaker. He was a troublemaker.
It's any of those
He was.
Yeah.
He used to hang around that corner of.
Oh, don't start him on the head.
Sorry, we're on here.
So is he not coming back on?
No, I think he just dropped
In
out.
his youth, I'm talking
Yeah.
young teenage.
Trouble youth.
All right, cool. That's good. So next month, we'll look forward to that.
So,
Right, Mark.
very good. First thing I'll share is that I've just moments ago had an email pop in regarding Church Corner. And the sort of timetable that we're looking at there.
Oh, okay.
So what I've just been informed of was that the plans have been worked on by staff, and they're aiming towards a workshop with council in August, before a decision probably later in September coming to council.
Oh, and it's
So that gives us a time frame on that one. Now we'll hand it over to council. If there is progress in onto a workshop with council in August and then September, later September.
So question.
That's good.
So we were rushing before because of
Budget,
the NZDA
Yep.
budget.
the funding.
So the funding, yes. So does that mean now that we've lost that?
That funding expired 30th of June.
30th of June.
So it'll now be a case of seeing what makes sense and then seeing where we go in the budget. So and to me, that's kind of where it's always should have been. We should have been looking at what's good for the community rather than just trying to hit a budget target.
Okay.
So that gives us a bit of a view into there. So we'll keep an eye on that. I'm happy to work with Tyler around this council. I think it's a good solution we came to here at the board. We'll try and let this through.
Yeah.
Another one that I guess might be useful for Tyler to perhaps have a wee listen on this one. I got a phone call today from a concerned resident of Templeton with some problems out there that are happening with some younger people, and I will catch up with you offline and see if we can't find a way to nip this in the bud if we can.
Is it Templeton? you
Yep,
said?
Templeton. Yep.
Okay.
Other than that, I'm working on with the maintenance team around the Amy's Road reseal for next year, trying to pin down what the plans are there. Then, Andrew, I believe, was also looking at the idea of a Shands Road style marking upgrade at the time. So he's working through some technical ideas on that, I believe. So that'll be another one to sort of see that landing along with the reseal, which would be quite a good idea, I think, to improve the infrastructure at the same time as we get the new surface. So
Makes sense rather than resurfacing and then digging it up.
had a really interesting meeting with the principal of South Hornby School last week. They've got the new double-story units going up next to the school swimming pool, which is causing privacy concerns for the double-story units overlooking directly on the pool when it's active with young children swimming in it. So we've managed to pin down. I think Bailey managed to have a conversation, which is very useful. Thank you, Bailey, for your help with that. Managed to locate the owner, and the builders are sort of working with the owner now to see if there's a solution that we can come to for the school. Because putting up something simple like shade sails might just be a quick and cheap option to help meet those privacy concerns. But I wonder if going forward, as a council, and maybe Marie in the planning might be one to perhaps take this into her team, to try and find a way of defining a site like the school swimming pool there as a sensitive site, that we perhaps have some height restrictions on the neighbouring land. So that's, I guess, a plan change we want to look at going forward, to try and protect some of these more sensitive sites to make sure that they're not going to have these unintended consequences coming out of a development. So yeah, that'll do. I'm happy to leave that for somebody else to now share their 2 cents.
Okay, Tyler and then Helen.
Cool. Long-term plan.
Yes, thank you.
There was quite a few frustrations with it, actually. Not necessarily from the local government act, but actually from the accountants, particularly around the word of, what was that word again? Materiality. Yeah. And even things as small as 10K, which is a blip in the massive, rates implications, was deemed material. So therefore, a lot of change wasn't able to be done. And in my experience, my first experience with the long-term plan, everything else turned into reports for staff to go take away with next year, which is a huge amount of reports, ginormous. But also in defense of those accountants and staff, the amendments were massive. Around 104 amendments were put through. But from an elected member's point of view, and this is just for public knowledge, you get the direction to make the changes after the draft has come in, and then people submit on it, and then you action those submissions. For example, Helen she came in, and so did Kate Cleverly, who's also a resident in Christchurch, and she was representing Whanganui Pool. So then I acted upon those submissions and found that it was too material. So therefore, for future, what I'm going to do is try and put them into the draft. I think everyone should too. Yeah. That will be my recommendation for elected members, whoever's going to be sitting in my seat if I'm not there. The next one is about Whanganui Pool, and I was invited from the club to attend the celebration of 3 of their Olympians. So there is some awesome local talent coming from Whanganui, and there's going to be 1 officiator and 2 athletes, one in the Paralympics and one in the Olympics themselves. That was a phenomenal thing to see. So something that small, something that's so grassroots is actually producing Olympians. So it's a really big treasure for Riccarton. So I just want to acknowledge them and the amazing work that they do. Staff won't know this yet, Bailey. I'm going to hit you up about this later on. But the bus interchange in Riccarton Mall, not in Riccarton Mall, but outside Riccarton Mall. I've talked to YCD, who run the Igloo in the bus interchange, which is a youth hub for all youth, including troubled youth, to come and be themselves and be safe. They talked to me today, about 5 hours ago, to talk about some amazing initiatives that they could do in terms of outreach here. So you'll see that there's an empty space in the bus interchange in Riccarton. And we're seeing everything in the media at the moment around naughty kids. Problem is, they're not reported to police, therefore they're not implemented into data, such as police reports, so therefore I can't act upon it. Anyway, YCD are looking to go into there to occupy the space and be roamers for youth workers, which is a phenomenal thing for Riccarton, a phenomenal thing for community safety, and they wanted to expand their outreach program, which is amazing. So I'll be talking to Bailey about that, and I haven't heard back from staff around the T's and C's of that small area, which is the cafe shop front. Last things is around transport. I've had massive positive feedback about Blenheim Road and Whanganui Road being asphalted. I've heard nothing but good things, actually, how smooth their ride is and how easy it is to navigate, because Whanganui Road was an absolute shocker. So that's been awesome to see that it's got asphalted after that nightmare that we've been going through. Racecourse Road, I've heard mixed reviews about it around the safety improvements. Some people thought that we needed more. Because it's NZTA in collaboration with us on Racecourse Road, they felt that we needed to have a few more safety improvements, but we got what we got. And the Dean's Ave Precinct Society brought up something after the long-term plan, but also prior to that around the Northern Line, particularly the cycle route near Girls High. And it's out of the budget now because it's been pushed out for about 15 years. So
why was that?
Because they weren't able to implement it.
Because of Kiwi Rail.
Yes. Yeah. So we're going to have to somehow get it back in at some point, but at a smaller scale. It was budgeted for quite a lot more, but they don't need that much money anymore. And Cheyenne Street in Stockburn is another issue that everyone should know about, is in Stockburn. I've had multiple residents, around 10. They're actually starting up a resident association just because of this, because of the chip sealing in suburban streets, particularly the wide roads in Stockburn. Cheyenne Street, I've had a resident talk to me the other day, and also about 6 months ago, around the chip seal flicking up and going into their house, and now they're looking at actioning it. So
That's good.
I've got to walk around with the mayor at some point. I'm going to take him to that. He's not a fan of those chip sealed roads, but I think it's the way that it sticks to the road, not necessarily the chip seal itself. It's flicking everywhere. So that's pretty much it.
Can I ask you a question or either of you on the long-term plan? We put in a submission of our board about not charging for people for 3 hours who attend Halswell Park, Botanic Gardens, but council has gone and charged people.
Yeah.
So what was the reason for not going with not charging? So people can go to the gardens, wander around and then go home inside 3 hours.
I would say that your submission was listened to,
Yes.
but the overall goal of charging in the gardens was by the majority of council deemed as overriding.
Was it around money or?
No, it's not so much around money, it's more around we're trying to control the parking.
Yeah, we thought you were
A
trying.
lot of it's
The all-day parking.
it's the all-day parkers, and those that would go in there, park in the morning, then go in there, like their break times, and move their car so they wouldn't get ticketed for the 4 hours that was already the limit there.
Oh, I see.
So it's a way of trying to better utilise the space for everybody.
Yeah.
I think we haven't landed on charging for weekends.
No, I think you're not charging for weekends.
Can't recall. I voted against it, but I can't recall how it went.
It does mean the issue for me, or for the board, is we've got intensification happening where people won't have gardens, and therefore for children, Riccarton and Central, it's kind of a place for people to take their children or older people to wander around. Yeah, it's just.
There is a review in a year's time
Is it?
to see how it's gone.
Does it? Yeah.
I did ask around what you asked about, and it's been put into the too hard basket, meaning you'd have to have staff there.
You would have
quite
to
frequently.
police it after 3 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very difficult to do, and it costs a lot more on OPEX in terms of staffing.
What, have to have staff?
I wasn't a fan, personally, I wasn't a fan of it because I see families and grandparents use it during the day. But I've been in talk with staff around also the lower decile community using it. And they said it's actually more feasible for them to go to those parks because they get pinged if they overstay. And if they don't have a warrant or rego, $150, $300. So it's more feasible for them to be able to pay $4 for 3 hours or whatever it is. I think I abstained from that, but I was happy either way.
I think it will discourage people using the gardens. Actually, $4.60. You might do it once a week, but you couldn't go twice a week. And just with intensification, it just seems to cut against that because you want people in the Hagley Park.
No, you want people in their local park.
Yes,
Well,
but lots of people like Dean's Avenue Precinct and even we've got Riccarton Bush, I guess, but you've got a lot of area around here where Garth and Central Riccarton Residents Association, which would have to use Hagley Park largely.
Yeah.
So they've got a small pocket park in Picton Avenue.
In summer, the pool goes absolutely bonkers. And in the winter, the rugby club use it, high school old boys and the tennis club.
I know. You've got
On top of the workers. But personally, this is just my view.
Yeah.
I haven't had a hard time finding parks the whole time I've been there. It's a regular one for me.
Okay. Yeah, no, I
It's
don't.
my personal, feeling, but
Okay.
Can I just ask a question?
A question, yes.
Yeah. Why do you have to have staff to police a 3-hour whatever gap in the funding when you can just put it on the parking meters?
oh, they are parking meters. But in terms of monitoring, they have to go in and out, and everyone comes in at different times.
Sure, but most parking meters now are quite clever, to be fair, and they'll tell you that you can park cheaper at 1 hour or free at another hour. So it's just a matter of putting a different chip in.
Yeah, and the first hour's free. You still pay, but the first hour's free apparently. Not sure how they're going to do that. But,
Okay.
Thank you. Helen,
Yes,
you were going to
I
raise
just wanted to say our staff did a very good presentation on Tuesday, I think, about 5:30 to 7:30 on the Riccarton Collective. It had about 20 people there, And I think what our staff are trying to do is to get the group to be self-organised. And there was quite a lot of enthusiasm, but what's the next step? They're going to have another meeting with staff to coordinate that, aren't they? Am I right there?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
one of the people who were there have put their hand up. They've created a Riccarton Collective website and they'll set the agenda for the next meeting. We'll
Yes.
still support them in terms of booking
Yes.
space for the time being. But yeah, all of the Riccarton Collective kind of queries and agenda items will be directed, and then Max will collate all of that.
So there is a bit of a gap in Riccarton. Well, there's always been that lack of social connection in Riccarton, and which Tyler's been working on. It was his sort of idea at the start. But there's an information gap too. There's nothing very clear that these are the Riccarton functions and these are the organisations. So I think if someone can do that, it's going to be helpful. So it goes out to everybody who wants, but like the Halswell project does. All right.
There is
Okay.
something on that collective is I managed actually to get it into the mayor's recommendations before the draft, was the staff are going to look at citizens' assemblies across the city. I want to thank this team for doing an amazing job, because what they've done now is they've helped us get more meaningful engagement across all of the community boards. So the comms team are going to come back to me next year, actually all of us, around how that can be implemented.
Okay.
Riccarton collectives across the
Right. Thank you. Hank, you were
Yeah,
going
just two things. One, I don't know how to get the information on how 151 Gilberthorpe's is going.
I can probably update you on that.
We've had an awful long wait.
Yes, we have had an awful long wait. They've had an awful long wait here from the groups as well.
Yeah, I know.
So that's where your hold up's been on that one. They have finally heard from one of the groups they were trying to hear from. And I understand there is potentially a report going towards council around about September the 4th meeting, I think it was. So that is one we're going to have to work as a community to try and get this over the line. So it might mean another hickory to council. And we also, the groups that are looking to take that space may need to step up and actually attend that meeting to speak to it as well. Well, I understand there's potentially 3 different options in the report that'll be coming, and it'll be up to the councillors to decide where they land. For me, I think we need to work with the community to make sure that they come to council and back the option they like to see landed if they still want to see it. So it's really in the hands of the community as well as the council to try and get the council to land on the right solution that the community needs.
Part of the reason I ask is that because the local Filipino church have been meeting at corner Gilberthorpe's and Waterloo, and that church is up for sale. So they're looking for a space to go. They have quite reasonably high demands for storage. That's their downfall. They've got 1 million musical instruments, roughly. Just they're quite, and they can't, you can't expect them to take a set of drums home every time they use them.
Why not?
Well, I asked that, but otherwise I would have had a hall for them. But unfortunately, they have quite a high demand on space, and also they've been somewhat lucky to have that hall sort of on a semi-permanent basis, months in it, and they can leave all their gear there. They come and go as they please. It's like their own building, and that's going to have to change for them. And it's a difficult change, I think.
Unless there's a way that they can stay in ownership that they can still access.
No.
I mean, I wonder if there's something for the community facilities team in property to be linked up with some of the parties here to see
something.
And whether the Filipino church need to be introduced to Barry Woodgate, the team to around the Gilberthorpe's property as well. Is another option. So I don't know if that's possible.
Staff did meet with the church around that building, because I think there's some groups who would like to keep that building. to buy the church. It's for sale. So, yeah, Marie had a meeting this
Okay.
week.
Yeah, well, good.
I certainly had a retired minister personally visit me as well. And I think he was in conversations with Faye.
Marie's been with.
Yeah, Marie followed up.
Very
Yeah.
good. So that's good to hear. Because I think Mike Moore became involved as well.
Yeah.
And potentially Megan Woods.
Yep.
So.
Okay,
Hmm.
done.
Interesting. Yep.
So I've got, so last 2 points from me. So, oh, you've got one more?
After you, I'll just.
Oh, no. Oh, you go first.
Okay.
So,
Just around the Hornby Community Centre, you'll all be aware that they've taken ownership of the library now. They've got a reveal of their plans tomorrow. So if anybody wants to get along 1 to 3 tomorrow, they've got their open afternoon to reveal the plans they've got for it, which I think will be very exciting and interesting. And then also tomorrow evening, they've got a movie being shown.
That's right.
And it's now free of charge because the OCD have stepped up to the plate.
Sounds like the old days.
Yep, so we're showing it to Doolittle
Bring your own seats.
evening, so a couple of events there for the Hornby Community Centre. Keep an eye on.
right, thank you. So, my 2 items, so I've been, sitting here as chair for the last 2 months. I'd like to thank you for your patience and support. It has been quite challenging at the beginning, with what was presented to me with what I could work with. And I think we've now passed that stage. And so there have been, several suggestions on how we can work well together. So there were several options, and instead of me going out to you individually, I would like to ask everybody like who is going to support this option and that option. And I would rather really prefer to go with what the majority of the board supports, right? So there were 4 options. One is to meet as a group to discuss how we can work better together. And the second is a meeting facilitated by Helen. And the third is a meeting or workshop by an external facilitator. Or we just continue on and see how we go and revisit when needed. And so I just need to know, we don't need to discuss this. I just need to know by show of hands who supports which option. So the first one is meet as a group to discuss how we can work better together. Can I just see some show of hands? Who wants it?
Can I
So-
add something though there? I think there's a timing issue. So I would favour that in about September, where we've got ourselves sort of started, and then early September. Yeah.
So Hank is not here in September.
No.
That's not,
No,
that won't work. Probably if,
it would have to be October then,
Yeah.
wouldn't it? Yeah. I guess the reason is I think,
but yeah, if we can just move on, I just
Okay.
need to know
Okay.
who supports what.
So what was the number? See, was it?
Oh, so it was Helen, Tyler and Mark.
Thank you.
That is to
Yeah.
meet as a group.
Yep.
Just us,
Just us,
just,
yes.
without staff,
Mm.
just
You must-
board members.
members now.
Yeah.
Huh?
it's awkward.
Okay, if we can get all the members together, right?
Yes, if we can get all the members together, but if we can't get all the members together, it's not gonna work. And then a meeting facilitated by Helen.
you're not me, you're talking about Helen Miles. eh?
Yes, you
Oh, me, okay.
suggested it.
Oh, no, I was thinking of that more when I was a chairperson. So I'd say.
So no, we're not gonna do this?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine. yeah.
Okay, cross that out. A meeting workshop, by an external facilitator? No? Okay. Or continue on and see how we go and revisit as needed, or perhaps if we can't get everybody in,
That's my first option, really, is
just
continue as we go.
continue as we
Just
go.
See,
Yeah,
and see how we work it.
yeah,
Because I
How
think
we
it's
can-
early days. to be
it's,
fair.
yeah,
And it's, I think we've just got to get used to different ways of doing things,
right.
and that's fine.
Yeah.
It's
Because
just-
like, if that option that meet as a group, if only one person cannot make it, it's gonna fall over.
Yeah.
I think, look, we've had this before under Mike, and we always had one person who didn't attend.
So then that's not gonna work for us.
So I think if we got even, how many of us? 9? If we got 8?
9.
If we had one.
No, we have, it has to be all or none.
I think we'd.
It has to be all.
I think it's struggled to all, everyone.
So other than that, then the option will be, we'll just continue.
I think we have to.
Yeah, that'll be option 2 for me, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to think if we go as we are, but then
Yeah.
about October. if
We'll
we- if we
revisit
have something-
around October.
We
We'll
have something
check again.
because we've kind of seen how things are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if something
Yeah.
goes wrong, I'm sure we'll find, I mean, most of us not too scared to speak up.
No.
So I think we would certainly say, you know, we don't like this, or where's this headed, or whatever the case happens to be. I can't think of at the moment, but I'm sure there's something came up and I'm, ooh, what's that then?
Yeah.
We'll
Okay.
talk about it.
Yeah.
Right. So my last thing, so for now, we'll just continue on.
Yep.
My last thing is, I have to be at the airport at 3:00 in the morning. So yay, we're finished early. So I will be working remotely from tomorrow until next weekend. I will be checking emails periodically, but will only respond to urgent matters. For non-urgent matters that can wait until I come back on the 22nd. So I'm only away for a week. Right.
It's fine.
Thank you.
And I think, Marie, if you've just mentioned the changes that came through the board chairs meeting today in terms of the standing orders and zooming in.
The Zoom protocol.
Yes.
So I emailed that already, and
Good, but if you just.
no, and Matt Bolt had already emailed it to everybody, to
has
all
he?
elected members. It's been circulated
Yeah, but
already.
people sometimes some people hear things verbally. So it's just that you have to have a real reason for coming
only
in
3
on Zoom.
reasons.
Yes, and there's 3 reasons. So have councillors been briefed on it? Or-
Before we even joined,
Yeah.
it was encouraged.
Yeah, it's encouraged, but I think it's trying to be firmer on it. So that's going to be something for Marie to handle actually, but it's, as long as everyone's aware that it's tightening up the reasons for Zooming.
Yeah.
Because it's happened both here and at council, I've noticed. You have people who could have attended who haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So
Okay.
do a karakia, please, karakia. Unihia. Watia, Yamaha, Tinambo, Tetinana, Tewairua, Itiara, Koya, Romo, Pakairi, Akikiruna, Iatina, Huye, Chagie. Thank you, everyone. The meeting, I declare the meeting closed.
Close, thank you.
Safe travels.
Thank you.
Yes. Back to,
It's gonna be,
we,
Taking mum back, eh?
yes, taking mom back. It's gonna be really, really hot and humid.
oh, it'd be lovely.
I was wondering about that. I was like, yes, you're right.
She's 92.
The live stream has a.
Oh, gosh.
Thank you.